Let's talk about the 10 reasons your baby doesn't sleep well. Hey there, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the founder of the Helping Babies Sleep Method. And today we're going to talk about the 10 reasons your baby doesn't sleep well. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe to never miss a baby sleep tip. We're going to talk about the top 10 reasons from the least common to the most common. So here we go with number 10, is that your baby has some sort of food sensitivity. A sensitivity is different than an allergy. An allergy can cause a major reaction, but a food sensitivity could be something that just doesn't sit well with them. And that can impede sleep because your child's uncomfortable, and that can make it distracting and harder to fall asleep and then stay asleep. If you have a more serious sensitivity, this might show up with eczema on their skin, right? For breastfeeding babies, very common food allergies or sensitivities, I should say, can be dairy, and it's the same with formula-fed kids. That's number 10. Number 9. Your baby has reflux. Reflux, or GERD, which is basically adult heartburn, varies in severity. Okay, you can have a very mild case of reflux where parents sometimes don't even notice, to very serious cases of reflux where their child really has trouble eating and gaining weight and is very, very uncomfortable most of the day. That's number 9, right? These children often seek the comfort of sleeping in their parents' arms. So whenever I have someone come to me with a newborn who says, I just cannot get them to go on their back and sleep in the bassinet, it's a red flag for me. And I'm thinking, what other signs of reflux or silent reflux might they be having? Number 8. Overanxious parents. I was definitely one of those. Every time my child made any kind of noise, I jumped up and immediately picked them up. Here's the thing. Kids make noises in their sleep all the time. Half the time, they're not even awake. And so when you hear your baby in the night, can you wait a couple minutes, be an observer to see if they're really awake, okay? Number 7, gas. So younger babies, especially less than 4 months, might be having gas for 2 reasons. One, they're getting in a little bit of air when they're eating. And this is true for bottle feeding or breastfeeding. If that latch doesn't give 100% seal, they may be getting a little bit of air in, which can make them feel uncomfortable. And if that air is not burped out, it can travel through the gastrointestinal tract and become gas or toots that need to come out. And that's often very commonly seen between like 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. in newborns. They're uncomfortable, they wake up every hour, they seem restless in their sleep. Very common sign of gas. Number 6, environmental issues. So being too hot, too bright, too cold, too distracting in general can make it harder for your child, even a newborn, to fall asleep and stay asleep. Okay, so the purpose of making the room dark is there's 2 reasons. One is to rule out distractions that might distract them from falling asleep. So even in the newborn stage, a shadow on the wall, right? A 2-year-old seeing all their toys in their room, kind of distracting. So that's the purpose, one of the purposes of making it dark for naps. The other reason is there is research to show that as early as 1 month of age, making it dark for naps and sleeping period can help entrain that circadian rhythm, which doesn't fully mature until 6 months of age, and help them sleep better. Environmental issues also include noises, right? So noisy households, they might be using white noise to block out those distracting sounds. The birds in those summer mornings at 5 a.m. can be distracting, and even wet diapers or being cold at 5 a.m. can also make it harder to stay asleep. Number 5, teething. Yes. So your child is distracted by the discomfort in their gums. So when they surface in the night from sleep, which all humans do, they're distracted by that discomfort and they have trouble falling back asleep. Teething pain often shows up as 5 a.m. wake-ups and only 45-minute naps where a child was previously napping well. Number 4, not getting enough calories in during the daytime and having shifted those calories into the nighttime. Your body does get used to eating at certain times. You may have even noticed this with yourself, right? Our children are the same way. So if you start, going down the slippery slope of having to nurse back to sleep multiple times in the night, you may find that your child just isn't very hungry in the daytime and they're a distracted eater because their body's now shifted the calories into the nighttime. Number 3, missed timing. So putting a kiddo down too early or too late can actually make it harder for them to fall asleep. Putting them down too early, they're not quite ready and they will fight you. Putting them down too late, they can be a little bit overtired, which actually makes it harder to get them to fall asleep and stay asleep. And this is true for all ages, even toddlers. Putting them down too late, sometimes they're that much more needy and they want you that much more. Putting them down too early, they're annoyed that you're trying to make them sleep earlier. And I see this frequently with toddlers who are still napping, but maybe shouldn't be, who won't go to bed till 9:30 at night. Their bodies just aren't ready. Number two, now we're getting into the two main reasons that I see in pretty much every client that I work with. Number two, your child is in a sleep debt. They are overtired. So over time, they've been waking up multiple times in the night or staying awake too long before bed or just not napping enough during the day. And that makes it harder for them to fall asleep and then stay asleep. And that puts them into a negative feedback loop that continues. They're overtired, they don't sleep well. They sleep less, they're overtired, they don't sleep well. And it just continues until you break that pattern. And then the number one reason your baby isn't sleeping well, the most common one, is that your child has a sleep crutch or a sleep association that's really not serving them perhaps any longer. So common sleep associations, there's something external that your child relies on to help them fall asleep. There's three categories: touch, so being held, co-sleeping; motion, being rocked, a car, a stroller, a carrier; and sucking, feeding to sleep from a bottle or a breast or a pacifier. Something external that helps my kiddo fall asleep. But then when they wake up in the night, which all humans do, they look for that same thing to help them fall back asleep. And let's remember that the tool helps them relax. They might not need to be fully asleep at bedtime for this to be their sleep crutch. I often work with parents who say, I'm not feeding to sleep, I'm feeding to drowsy, but then she wakes up every 3 hours and I have to nurse her back to sleep. It's the same idea. Your child's reliant on something external that helps them relax into sleep, and then they need that repeatedly in the night when they wake up, like all humans do. And many people have multiple sleep crutches. Okay. So that's the top 10 reasons why your baby isn't sleeping well, from least common to most common. If you have more questions about your child's sleep, come take my free sleep quiz, www.helpingbabysleep.com/sleep-quiz. It's 6 simple questions to help assess why you're struggling and one simple thing that you can do tonight to help you make changes. And don't forget to hit subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube.